Hey guys, the following is a podcast produced by the Georgia Cyber Center at Augusta University. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to have a wild time.
Welcome to In the Wild. Each week, your host, Raysean Ricks, will catch us up on all things Augusta University and everything else.
Augusta University's Student Health Services mission is to provide quality health and preventative services to AU students. They offer a variety of services to students, including immunizations, clinic services, and virtual resources. They have multiple clinic services available to students, from women's services to primary medical care. They're conveniently located on the Health Sciences campus for students. Give them a call at 706-721-3448 or check them out online at augusta.edu/HSH.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of In the Wild. I am your host, Raysean Ricks, and today we have a very special episode. We have two guys that you may have heard of, Chris and David, who are hosts of the popular podcast DropTheDis. And today they're going to talk about how Augusta life in the city has grown and all the things that you can do if you are a new student or a returning student and you're not familiar about what to do outside of campus. And I think that's a really important conversation that we don't talk about enough. We don't talk about what to do inside of the city of Augusta. And there's so much to do. Augusta, I believe, is a centrally located place where people love to travel out of. But if you're like me and you can't always travel as much as you like, there's so much for you here inside the city to do. So stay tuned. We'll be right back to hear from Chris and David. Welcome back, everyone, to In the Wild. And joining me virtually in the studio, we have some very special guests. We have the host of Augusta's, I think, most popular podcast, DropTheDis. Hey, guys, how are y'all doing?
That means a lot coming from you, Raysean.
Seriously,
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
We're doing
no
good, though.
Yes, we are doing good. We're also doing this virtually, so if y'all hear us stammer on, it's because we're watching Raysean's facial expressions right now.
We're used to the in-person aspect.
Yeah, but we're it's an honor to be on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it because I think what y'all are doing with your podcast is super important, and I wanted to make sure all of our listeners were aware of the awesome work that y'all are doing. But before we jump into that, I wanted to get some peaks and pits from y'all from your summer. So what were some highlights and some things that you overcome this summer? Because with this pandemic, a lot has been going on. So I'm interested to hear that from y'all.
I successfly watched 3 different shows on Netflix.
Is that a peak or a...
That is a slump.
That's a song. Yeah.
That is at my worst. But with all the quarantine, I'm a teacher, so my quarantine started
it's total peak for him
March. And then I had summers off, so I had a little bit of extra time. But I would say a peak for me is my wife and I purchased our first home. And so that was a very big feat for us, and we're right where we want to be and don't plan on moving from that spot. So that would be my peak.
There you go. Well, I'll talk about the podcast. So the podcast, we had kind of a peak early March when we were gaining a lot of momentum. And COVID kind of interfered with our ability to record like we were used to, and it interfered with a lot of people that listen. And so for a month or so, we really hit this slump that made us re-examine how we were doing things, and we kind of spent a lot of time on our fundamentals, and we turned around. And now, because of all that, we've been able to kind of peak, and we feel like we've been doing better things than we ever have.
Absolutely.
So self-plug there.
Yeah,
right?
self-plug. I for a second, I thought I misunderstood the question because, David, you answered that really well. And you were asking personally, right? Or were you asking business?
I just answered how
I love it. I know. That's how this works. That's why podcasts are so good. But hold on. I'm Chris, by the way. Just so y'all don't get me mixed up with David.
Hey, guys. I'm David.
Yeah.
Welcome to In the Wild podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's very relatable from my end too, because we started 2 weeks right before everyone was quarantined. So I was like, oh my gosh, we have to kind of just scrap all of our plans, all of our interviews that we had planned, and just try to figure out what we were going to be able to do.
And you killed it early. You killed it early, so that must have been a real kind of disappointment off the bat. You were doing so well.
I was scared for a moment. It really had me sweating, but we figured it out.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
We're in a really good spot right now.
That's great. Us Jaguars.
Yeah.
We know what's up.
Yeah, we're very smart.
So speaking of Jaguars, both of y'all are alums of the university. So what were some of your favorite memories from being a student here?
Ooh, so...
How exclusively does this get edited?
Right.
Extensively.
I hope that part doesn't get edited out.
Right.
Okay, I'll since I started at Augusta State a little bit earlier than David, I'll go first. I graduated in 2015 from GRU, now AU, and so when my freshman year of college, went to a basketball game, and I noticed how no one was standing up and having a good time. So the next game, I grabbed 7 guys. We painted up, called Jag Swag, and we stood. This was before stadium seat, like the end zone seatings were going, and so we were standing up in the front and having a good old time, and that turned into a campus organization called Jag Swag, and we basically rep basketball teams, both women and female. Hold on, Josh, edit that. We represented both women and men's basketball teams. We traveled with them. It was a good old time. Dip Mitras is one of my good friends now. And I would just say that, a lot of you students out there that feel like Augusta University doesn't have anything to offer you to have fun, make it fun. It's kind of like what David and I preach with DropTheDis. And if it's not there, create it. And I guarantee you now the student services is way more into students leading things, and so go for it. So Jag Swag was my thing. We did that. We had parties. We had parties in the stands. We had, that was the highlight of my college right there.
Well, talk about a slump. We had Dip Mitras on, and right before the tournament was supposed to start, and we blessed that team to win the last 2 games and make the tournament, only for COVID to cancel the whole tournament.
Right. So they're still undefeated in the postseason.
Right. They're undefeated in the postseason. For me personally, being an undergrad, a lot of it, the first 2 years was about finding out what I wanted to apply myself to. And, I made a lot of people that I consider very good connections, people that have helped me out a lot in those first 2 years that helped me kind of become the student I wanted to be. And then the second 2 years, a lot of it was service and my ability to kind of try to better myself through working with different organizations and different kinds of people. So, being president of my fraternity, of the Interfraternity Council, being on Jaguar production crew, being on student government, all of that was different experiences that have led to a lot of how I professionally conduct myself.
Did you ever paint up for a basketball game?
Of course I did.
Of course, yeah. Okay, just making sure. I thought I remember seeing
it. Was a homecoming.
Oh, nice.
No, I didn't, because we always wore blazers.
Oh, yeah.
So we always wore blazers.
Oh.
Which is
that sounds terrible.
Debatably worse.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, I can only imagine being like at a packed basketball game in a blazer.
Imagine 30 guys on top of each other at a basketball game all wearing blazers.
Yeah, it wasn't fun for us. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a fun time.
What's that?
I mean, I said it doesn't really sound like much fun because I sweat a lot, so I couldn't.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, I'd be the same way. I would have to pick a shirt I didn't like as an undershirt.
We did have.
Anyway,
we did have, and you can choose to edit this out or not. But we had one guy that painted up, and we used acrylic paint because that doesn't sweat off. Well, we had a friend of ours that did sweat profusely, and it wouldn't come out of his pores. So we actually had to.
You wring him out.
There was some serious. He just never painted up again, but we still had a good old time. We beat USC Aiken.
Right.
I mean, so in that case, it was worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think he regrets anything.
So tell us a little bit about your podcast and what led y'all to creating it.
I just want to make sure because I've been leading every
Yeah, go
question.
ahead. Go ahead. You usually lead this one anyway.
So what led us to doing the short version is David and I would get together and always try to think about how can we make Augusta better, or how can we get that news
the
out.
big thing was really like, as far as I remember, like finding ways to communicate
Yes.
about things that were happening, especially like as I had just graduated at this time and Chris had been graduated for a couple years.
Yeah.
We had both come into the city where we found all these things that were happening that we had never heard about before graduating. And so basically what we talked about was like in what ways are people talking about this?
Right. And so podcasts, as they are ever so climbing to be popular,
We looked for one.
we looked for an Augusta podcast that talked about good things going on.
But
And
there wasn't one.
There wasn't. And
But we
yeah.
would do these meetings and drink. And
Yeah.
so we got this really cool idea that we were good at talking.
And we will shout out the place, Stillwater Tap
Stillwater,
Room.
yeah. They don't do the deal anymore.
They don't, but they were doing a sweet deal on Tuesday nights, and we were just always wondering why no one was there, and it's because no one knew about it. So,
Right.
so did this come from a beer deal that we were getting? Absolutely, but
Yeah.
did it?
But
come...
which is something that's an example of like no students used to go to Stillwater for pint night. Like,
Right.
Why
And
not?
so-
Aside from the ones that are underage, obviously. But
Right,
I'm talking
yes.
like the medical school.
Definitely
and
not
the graduate
advocating for
schools.
underage drinking, kids.
Yeah.
But
But like
Definitely
people
not.
graduate and they start their careers here, and
Yeah.
then they grow up and they're looking for the stuff in the community. And I feel like a lot of them have the same thought that like, what is going on? I'm seeing like the theaters downtown. I guarantee students don't go to the theaters downtown for the most part, and that's something that is really cool. There was a Jake Owen concert that was going to happen at the Miller.
Yep.
Right before COVID, which
And
is a theme of every conversation right now.
And I bet no students know about Le Chat Noir's improv nights that happen every first Friday.
Right, so there's like all
there's-
these really cool things.
And so the one conversation happened after another. Podcast was developed, and then the forming of the format of our podcast,
Yeah.
which took time. I would say about 5 to 6 months.
It took a couple months, and then we realized that, we were trying to figure out what we were going to talk about. We were kind of throwing different things. We were doing current events, and then we kind of realized that we were trying to tell the story of Augusta, right? And so the best way to do that is by telling the stories of people that are doing significant things here. So we've had
Right.
people on like the mayor.
Yep.
We've had different commissioners on to talk about different issues. We've had
local business owners that
Right.
are bringing new businesses to town, or maybe have had one for years, but no one knows the events that they throw.
Right.
And so what better way to tell that story than just let them tell their own story?
Right, local film festivals, like
Yep.
stuff you wouldn't think about.
Exactly. So that would be how we started the podcast and how it's still running today.
Man, I'm sorry this is going to be
Y'all
such
been
a
in
long
the game
episode.
for what, over a year now, right?
Say that again?
Y'all been in the game for what, over a year?
A little
I
bit.
feel like y'all
I
have
would
taken
say
off,
14
like,
months.
tremendously.
A little bit over a year, like
Yeah.
14, 15 months.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff we didn't publish, so it depends on if you count that stuff.
Right. There's a lot of episodes that will remain in the vault unless you pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of your
But yeah, I
time.
definitely think like y'all filled a void that Augusta needed, because so many students and people who aren't local will move here and have no idea what there is to do outside of Augusta University. And I do believe that the city of Augusta offers so much, but there was just difficulty in finding like a place to just go where you can find out what to do. And I think y'all do a great job at kind of leading our students and our listeners at large and what to do outside of class and work. All that boring stuff. So, why do you think, because, Augusta has been given the nickname, which I hate, Disgusta. So, why do you think students or locals, because I really hear it mainly from locals, like give Augusta such a bad rep?
I think a lot of it comes from what we originally kind of wanted the show to be about, which is, communicating things that are worth talking about. And so something you see a lot you don't see as much anymore because it's harder because communication is so much better and there's different elements at play. I mean, the university growing in itself helps with that because it brings in different kinds of people.
Right.
But you look at the surrounding suburbs especially, and you see people that, for example, went downtown 20 or 30 years ago, had a bad experience, and then they decided never to go back.
Right.
And so a lot of people just really are in this comfort zone where anything outside of their comfort zone is bad because they haven't heard it or they haven't really taken the time to be influenced by it. And that's, I think, where it comes from. And the easy way to beat that is just get involved with the community. I mean, one of our first episodes with the Young Professionals of Augusta, which any former student, I would recommend you join the Young Professionals. It's a good networking group, and it's not very expensive. Just examples like that of ways that you can easily go to different venues, different places, meet different people, and you'll learn a lot really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. The city of Augusta does a very bad job of communicating, like David,
telling its own story. Right.
And the story is there, and unfortunately you have to really dig and find it. And so I would believe it's just easier to say one negative word, negative connotation, than go look for it. And so, you've said it yourself, we're 14, 15 months in, and we've had over 60 episodes. That's 60 different people that we've talked to that love Augusta. And these are people that aren't just average people, just living day to day.
One of the people we interviewed is an international ping pong gold medalist.
From Augusta College.
Oh, wow.
From Augusta College. And the reason we interviewed him was because he's the CEO of a really successful company. We didn't even know that.
Here in Augusta.
Right. It's these little things you don't think about.
And so I guess one thing why is Augusta around, it's not around as much. And I will say Augusta University is helping with that a lot, seeing it for myself. But it's just around because people don't want to find the little gems, hidden gems, and so that's why DropTheDis is here, because we are unveiling all these hidden gems that no one might not know about.
Right, and it takes a lot of effort out of trying to figure out what's going on. If you can, basically let us put you in touch with indirectly all these people. Like we had George Clausen come on.
Yeah.
And the amount of perspective that, we had George Clausen, the owner of Southbound. Come on, Chris wanted me, that's fair. And also the owner and starter of
Friends with
Benefits, the events group that brought in the Lil Uzi concert that a lot of former students went to, and brought in a lot of concerts that current students probably went to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hearing from people like him, if you don't want to go out and do all this research, it's also easy to just be able to hear this perspective and get you interested. And that's what we want to do, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely think this podcast, just like I said before, fills a void that Augusta needs, because so many students don't know what to do. And I was one of them, because I came to Augusta and I didn't know anything about the city. The only time I visited Augusta was to visit campus. And so, where
are you from, Raysean?
I'm from what I call the middle of nowhere, Georgia.
Okay.
Mount Vernon, Georgia. It's a very small country town. It's about 2 hours south of here, but literally in the middle of the state where nothing happens.
Wow.
So yeah, coming here, and I didn't know anything about Augusta except at the time Augusta State. So I knew nothing about downtown or any of the amenities or just recreational things happening. So I wish there was a platform sooner for students like me that was just I want to go out and do stuff for fun, but I have no idea what to do. So you mentioned that there are so many hidden gems in Augusta.
Yeah.
What would y'all say are some of your go-to spots, or what are your favorite hidden gems?
Can you first tell me the age group that we're going for? I can do 18 and up first, and then 21 and up. I can break it down, because I think every student needs to
break it down by age group.
Yeah. Okay. freshman.
Yeah, let's do that.
Freshman and maybe some sophomore. I was an early 21-year-old. I was a 21 after sophomore year.
I was a 21 until I was a senior.
Oh, man. Okay. So
Same.
I would say freshman, sophomore. Look, guys, we have a canal. We have a river. And we've got multiple spots to rent kayaks, rent bikes. I would recommend, post all this COVID on the Market Street, 8th Street, when the farmers market goes on every Saturday morning, I'd recommend renting a bike or taking your bike to Evans to Locks and starting at the beginning of the towpath and riding your bike all the way down. It's only 8 miles to the farmers market.
Only 8
Park your bike. Easy ride. I promise.
Close your eyes, you're there.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to a podcast, a local podcast.
Maybe
while you
2.
go.
I don't know how long it takes.
And then check out the farmers market. There's a Mexican restaurant right there. Turn around, go back, and on that trail you'll find 3 specific different hidden gems there. You'll find Rays Creek Aqueducts, which is a swimming hole. It is incredible. You've got 2 waterfalls going into that aqueduct. Then you'll see the greenway, or not the greenway, sorry, the clearing, or it's also called the grassy knoll. And it's just this giant green grass where you can walk out into the river knee high all the way to South Carolina.
You can also put in kayaks there.
Yep, you can put kayaks in there. That's right there something in itself. We also have disc golf. We've got over 6 courses in Augusta, and I'm talking the CSRA really. We've got, if you like golf, go play golf.
Did you know that the Collegiate Disc Golf National Championship happens in Augusta?
No idea.
Fun fact.
There you go. Wildwood Park out in close to Appling.
Close to Appling.
And so outdoorsy people, there's stuff there. There's, you've got intramurals with Augusta University now. I didn't have that at Augusta State. That was just becoming a thing. And so students need to realize, they've got their own things that they can do, with the Wellness Center. But I would say, if you are 21 and up, I recommend you go into the Le Chat Noir on a Friday night to hear their, it's called Schrodinger's Cats. And it's a improv show that's about 4 hours long, and it's just kidding. It's only an hour long, and it's super fun, and it's just very cultural, and it's just an incredible experience.
Chris loves improv.
I
if
do.
You couldn't tell.
I do. Well, we just had Le Chat Noir owner on, Chris Bailey, and he's really gotten me on a high.
That's true. I will say one of the this isn't as hidden as Le Chat and improv, but the Augusta Players also are an organization that is, I think, exceeding on a lot of ways relative to what people might perceive. They have a world-class director, and we had them on, and we also had Russell Joel Brand on, Russell Joel Brown on, who is the star of one of the shows they did, who was a former Broadway actor. And so, one of the things he said when we talked to him is that we had some of the best talent in the Augusta Players that they'd ever worked with. And so that's something you wouldn't expect to hear. And we kind of even question him on it. But so, for example, if you wanted to go somewhere and see something, the Augusta Players, yes.
Imperial Theater,
the Augusta Symphony at the Miller,
yes.
Absolutely. There's so many bike trails. I think you really need to try mountain biking if you live in Augusta.
See, I didn't even get onto that.
Chris,
I appreciate it.
I think you have to try it. I tried it. I got my bike stolen, so I don't do it anymore. But
yikes.
But anyways, and one thing going downtown for food, I think is really underrated, especially in the student population. I could be wrong.
It was for us because we had no money.
It was for us, and so Pizza Joint does great deals. They
Mellow Mushroom has good deals.
Yeah, right. Great pizza downtown. Farmhouse and Whiskey Bar do really good burgers.
Actually, Farmhouse, I'll go ahead and say this real quick. They just started it back. If you go between 3 and 6 p.m. during the week, they'll give you a large fry and a milkshake for $5.
Oh yeah.
I
I've
mean,
seen that.
any college student that's trying to gain their freshman 15, I recommend that 100%.
That's what they should call it.
Yeah, the freshman 15.
Yeah.
The freshman, the farmhouse freshman 15.
Right.
like
and,
that.
And like fine dining too. Like you can go to Craft and Vine, which is one of my favorite restaurants. You can go to the Frog Hollow Tavern, which is like a 5-star restaurant.
Bees Knees, the Hive. It's all, it's good stuff is downtown. We have a very good food and beverage community down here.
And on that, final plug for me would be there's breweries that are local.
Yes.
That is.
And a distillery.
And a distillery. And, they have events there too. So you don't always have to be 21. If you're not inclined for intramurals, Augusta Sports Leagues has an alternative. They do stuff at the breweries. It's just, there's so many things that's just, all of it seems like hidden gems depending on who you're talking to.
We haven't even gotten into the live music, but
right,
we're also,
it's hard to talk about right now.
Yes, all of this is hard to talk about because of COVID-19. However, to say that there's nothing to do in Augusta, students out there,
right,
you're wrong.
Arts in the Heart. Everybody should go to Arts in the Heart once.
Yes, but in 2021.
At least once, yeah. Well, eventually.
All right, so before we switch gears, one last question. What advice would you give to students who are new to Augusta who were like me and just had no idea how to get into the city life?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the first thing you really have to do is be intentional about meeting people that are kind of like-minded as you, because there's nothing that will prevent someone from being able to really experience their world like being around people that necessarily don't. And so the number one thing I would say is definitely meet people that you're similarly interested to, because then now you're going to Topgolf where you might have stayed home. You're going to play bowling where you might have stayed home. You're going to these really nice restaurants. You're going to Soleil for small concerts because you can do small concerts right now, when you could be staying home. And so the best thing I think is just to get some people that are, this isn't saying like find a bunch of clones and go out with them. Find people from different backgrounds that are like-minded in that they want to explore the city. And literally like Augusta and Company, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, their website has events on it. Go on their website and just see what's going on. There's local bands that are doing shows right now. Lotus and I follow Soleil and Southbound's Facebook and Instagram pages because they have little concerts that can be done safely right now and bigger concerts that are debatably more fun later.
Yeah.
But all these different things, even during COVID, there's still all these things going on.
Yeah. So, and those of you students out there that, are paying college and you are literally doing room and board and you have no money to do anything, there are things out there for you.
Yeah, it's not
to do.
that expensive.
It's either not expensive being Augusta, Georgia, or there's free things to do.
Tell them about the Dime Museum.
Oh, yeah. Check out the Dime Museum on 6th Street.
It cost a dime?
Walk past the strip club, and you'll
Past,
find
all the way
past
past.
it. But it's this oddities museum. It's the last dime museum in the U.S. and it is it's really cool.
It's called Pecos, which is spelled Petxcho.
Something like that.
Something like that.
But it's Peter Echo. He's a great guy. He loves the city of Augusta. He also loves being odd. So if you love that, check it out. It's
Chris is
literally
in love
a
with this
dime.
guy.
It's a dime to go check it out.
It's like something you'd see in New Orleans. It's kind of like one of those things.
It's very cool.
Awesome. So now switching gears a little bit, I wanted to play a fun little trivia game with y'all because I'm looking at y'all as experts at this point of Augusta.
This will be embarrassing, potentially.
Potentially.
So, I hope not. That's not meant to embarrass y'all, but we are going to test your knowledge a little bit, and we're just going to alternate questions. So, I guess, Chris, you'll be up first, and then we'll just play off of that. So, here is Answer This. So, Chris, first question.
Yes.
I feel like this is easy. You should know this.
Oh, gosh.
What is the city's nickname?
The city's nickname?
Yes.
Like the good one or the bad one?
The good one.
Okay, because we just discussed the bad one.
We don't want to say it.
I would say there's two. It's either
Okay.
Garden City or Cyber City.
Right. Depends how old you are.
Garden City is correct.
Garden City. Okay, cool.
All right, David. This is also another easy one because I didn't want to just throw y'all off completely.
You
But
saying
name a
that
celebrity
puts more
dead or
pressure on
alive
me.
from Augusta.
Sorry, start over.
Name a celebrity dead or alive that is from Augusta.
Oh, well, okay. I don't want to say the most obvious one. What's the guy's name that's in... Hold on.
He won't know the answer.
I know, I'm talking to you. What's the guy's name that's in
With a 5-second time limit.
Oh, there's a 5-second time.
Answer the
The
que-
Matrix. What's the guy's name in The Matrix? Not Keanu Reeves.
Oh, that's all I know.
All right, well, I'll say James Brown, but, I mean, obviously there's, I'm trying to think of...
All these
what is
students
this?
are
Hold on.
Googling it right now.
Let me Google this.
Ask me
Don't
ask me
cheat.
the next question. He'll shout out that
I'll tell you
answer.
in a second.
Okay. What was the land where the Augusta Augusta National is today? What was
Lawrence
Augusta National
Fishburne,
before
bro.
it became-
Lawrence Fishburne. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, what was the land?
Delayed answer. Yeah, what was Augusta National before it became the Augusta
Okay, I
National?
promise
What was that
you,
land?
students at home, I'm not looking at anything. It used to be a peach farm. Is that right?
Partially correct, but yeah, it used to be a fruitland nursery, so it would
Yeah.
a bunch of different.
It was mostly peaches, though.
produce.
That's why they make peach vodka.
Yep. Okay, keep going.
Lawrence Fishburne.
All right,
Oh my gosh, get off of that.
Jesse Norman.
all right, David. True or false? The Augusta Chronicle is the second oldest newspaper in the South.
Don't look at me.
True or false?
Did you say what's the first?
True or false?
Oh,
the
true or
Augusta
false?
Chronicle is the second oldest newspaper.
This is why
in the
he's going to
South.
grad school.
I would say false.
That is false. It's actually the oldest newspaper in the South.
I knew that. I think David did too.
Did you?
I went to ARC. I know that school was founded in like 1780, so I was taking a shot in the dark.
All right, Chris. This is Augusta University question. When was Augusta University founded?
Wait, which one?
Which one?
Like Augusta University, GRU,
2017.
Augusta State, Augusta College. Which one?
The OG.
The OG?
The OG.
When was it founded?
Dude,
Man,
Yeah,
that's a
what
tough
year?
question.
18 something.
1845.
I'm glad I didn't get this one. 1845 is what you
So
said?
Yep.
close. I'm surprised you didn't know this one. 1828.
Oh, I was close.
That's not
That's
bad.
not bad.
Not bad at all. But yeah, that's when MCG was founded.
How's this score?
Very cool. You're winning right now.
All right, David, since you're in grad school, let's see if you know this one. How many colleges and schools are within Augusta University?
So, like, the dental college counts as one.
Yep.
I'm just going to say 9.
What?
9?
Yeah.
Not too far off, but 12.
Oh.
That's not bad.
Hey. I
not
thought it
bad.
was going to be single digits. Props to Augusta University.
Yeah.
Yes, we're growing. I think when we started, actually, it was, I think, closer to 10. So, I mean,
Okay.
past couple of years, it's grown. I had a tiebreaker for y'all, but I'm going to just throw it out anyway, which is, I think, a very easy question. Whoever answered it first, I just can win the entire game. What does CSRA stand for?
Savannah.
I-
Central
that's what
Savannah
you were
River
doing.
area.
No.
Central
No.
Savannah River area. That's what it stands for.
Yeah, it does.
Because I know somebody
Yeah, it
that
does.
says CRSA, and, and that's
you're right,
how
you're
I
right.
know. 'cause
I
used
thought
to
you
always-
left out one word, but no.
I almost did because we were panicking in the beginning there. Central Savannah River area.
When I think of Savannah River, I just think of one word, honestly. I think that's what
Savannah
it is.
River Brewery.
Yep, that's
Gotcha.
what it is.
We get paid for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
folks.
Hey, students out there that are old enough to drink, go to Savannah River Brewery.
And if you're not, they have pretzels.
Yeah, they have pretzels.
And they have soda.
Sometimes they'll have a food truck and axe throwing.
Yeah,
you
they-
don't have to be 21 or up to do that.
Yeah, there we go. Plug.
Yeah, okay.
And next year, Oktoberfest.
Yeah, we did our job.
Hopefully, because I'm optimistic that COVID will subside at some point. So That was pretty much everything that I had. Do y'all have any last words for our listeners? And tell us how we can listen to Drop the Dis.
Go ahead.
Okay, last words for our listeners, which are students in college. Y'all make sure to study. Get that 4.0, graduate in 4 years. I took 5, but it doesn't matter. And also, if you want, David was talking about things to check out whenever you want to go out and whatnot. You can also visit the Drop the Dis Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Or the
Obviously,
Facebook.
yeah.
DropTheDis_podcast is our social media for both Facebook and Instagram. And David will tell you how to listen to our awesome podcast.
Right, so we have a podcast. You can listen to it wherever you would listen to wherever you would listen to In the Wild, just listen to our podcast there as well. So if you're on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, there's some made up ones in there too. Anything like that, just search Drop the Dis, 1 S in Dis, and it's all one word.
Got it. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Raysean. Thank you for having us on.
Shout out to the students.
Yep. Shout out to the faculty. Shout out to this podcast.
Shout out to my professors for this upcoming semester.
Augusta University's Parking and Transportation Services launched an app to track the JAG Express shuttles called Passio Go. Passio Go is a user-friendly app that lets users know where the shuttles are, the names of the drivers, and even the capability to set an alarm for bus stops. The app can be downloaded for free on all Android and iOS devices. Passio Go is active right now, so download the time-saving app today.
I really hope y'all enjoyed that episode with Chris and David. It's been one of my favorites so far, to be honest. So if you are looking for things to do in Augusta, don't be afraid to branch out safely, because you know we are still in COVID and masks and social distancing are real. So definitely try to explore Augusta the safest way possible this fall. Find something that you enjoy, find some people that you enjoy, and don't hesitate to go out and branch out and find some fun in the city, because there is so much to do, from restaurants, from different activities and shops downtown, to just different places just throughout the city. So keep up with Drop the Dis, because they do an excellent job of telling us what to do and when to go do them. And until then, I will see y'all next time. Thanks for listening to In the Wild. If you like what you heard, then give us a nice rating and review this podcast on whatever you use to listen to your podcast. To keep our conversations going, follow In the Wild on Instagram at InTheWildPod and Augusta University on all our social media platforms. Don't forget to follow me, your host, Raysean Ricks, at Raysean Ricks, to send me questions you want to be answered on the show. Tune in for new episodes every week, class in session, because we don't want you to miss a single thing happening on campus. You can also find more news stories at jaguar.augusta.edu. Until then, I'll see y'all next time. Stay wild out there, guys.